I'm not your pastor, and I'm not against Valentine's Day, but Easter has more to teach us about loving our wives than Valentine's Day ever could. Valentine's Day says, give her something. Easter says, give yourself. Scripture says, husbands, love your wives the way Christ loved the church and gave himself for her. This past week, as we remembered Christ giving his life for all of us, did you stop to think about how he tells us to give ourselves for our wives? Meg and I have been married 25 years. About 6 years into our marriage, we had our first big fight. It wasn't about just one thing. Life had just piled up. Tension, frustration. Scripture says that love does not keep a record of wrongs. And that's a warning to us, because if we do, it will pile up and it'll become something that can explode and destroy our marriage. We had made that mistake. We had kept a record and the fuse had been lit. We were working through it, committed to each other, but it was a tough season. I was spending a lot of time focusing on that scripture. Husbands, love your wives the way Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. So every night as I lay in bed about to go to sleep, I would pray that prayer and just think on it as I would fall asleep. My hope was to go to sleep with that thought on my mind and then wake up the next day and live it. But the big question on my mind every night was, how do I even do that? What does it even mean to give myself for my wife? This was before my kids were born. This was before social media, before attention spans were only 3 seconds long. You know, back when at the end of the day, most of us would sit and talk and actually look at each other. My kids are going to watch this and say I'm a boomer. But way back then, at the end of the day, when there was nothing else to do, I'm going to set my phone up. We would play a board game. Megan loves board games. I'm not a big fan. At the time, I was reading a book that was using the game Monopoly as an analogy to teach a lesson about life. And I was telling Megan about it, and she goes, oh, we should play. Now, Monopoly is the game invented to torture people who do not like board games. But since I was reading this book and I knew Megan would like it, I said, sure, let's play. I told her before we even started, I'm not going to win. I'm terrible at these games. So she gets the game out. We played that night and she beat me. The next night we played again and she beat me. And the next night, again, she beat me. Over and over, she beat me at this dang game, but she never rubbed it in. She would just put the pieces back in the box. She would encourage me, let's play again. I'm sure you'll figure it out. And so the next night we would play again. I don't remember how many times we played. Night after night we would play, but eventually I won. And when I did win, she jumped up. She was waving her hands in the air. She was celebrating. You did it. You did it. I told you would do it. You won. That night I went to bed, and like I was doing every night, I laid there and I prayed my prayer. God, show me what it looks like to love my wife well. Show me what it means to give myself for her the way you gave yourself for me. And I heard that little voice in my head, the voice that sounds like God speaking back. And it said, she just showed you. She showed you what it looks like to love and to give yourself the way I gave myself for you. She didn't celebrate when you lost. She celebrated when you won. I remember rolling over and looking at Megan. She was asleep already, and I had tears in my eyes. And as I looked at her, I just kept thinking about her jumping up when I won. All those nights that she beat me, she never celebrated. She just raked the pieces in the box and she encouraged me and she was teaching me and telling me I would figure it out. When I won, she jumped up. She started yelling, you did it, you did it. She started celebrating when I won, even when it meant she lost. My victory became her victory. That's what Jesus did. The cross looked like loss, but it was victory. It was victory because that's how we get victory. It's through the cross. He didn't win at our expense. He could have said, Father, I haven't done anything wrong. I'm not taking on their sin. Put it on them. Punish them for it. But he said, no, I will take it. Even though I haven't done anything wrong, even though Jesus was perfect and did nothing wrong, he took our blame. He gave himself. It cost him everything so we could win. This past week, remembering the crucifixion, remembering how Christ gave himself completely for my salvation, remembering how he commanded me to give myself for my wife. Love your wife the way I have loved you. Give yourself for her the way I have given myself for you. It reminded me of how my wife showed me what this looks like when she celebrated my victory, even when it meant she lost. I've told this story so many times and it gives me goosebumps. How different would our marriages look if we treated our spouses the way Christ treated us, and we made it our mission to fight for their victory, not for their defeat? Would that change what conflict looks like in your home if you thought, how can I fight this fight so that my wife wins? I believe God answered my prayer, and he showed me what it looks like to love my wife the way Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. He taught me that love does not fight against her. Love fights for her.